gente veio focado em ser campeão, não em ganhar de time X ou Y. A gente já sabe disso, mas a gente quer mostrar pra todo mundo que a gente é o melhor time do campeonato.
That's what we're here for. We're here to prove that we're the best and put on for the fans.
Ya estamos más que listos para darlo todo, vivir o morir.
Dedicará y ganaba. Cuidado porque empieza a plantar la spike. Vienen allí juntitos los chicos de la escuadra de M80. Apertura entonces ahora Dedicará. ¡Sí! ¡Dedicará, carajo! El clutch, el 1 contra 2.
Yo sé que por ahí hablan que Fusion no puede ascender y Fusion no tiene chance de ascender.
Tirou ele do lance e o ponto é da Fusion. Que isso aí, o Mitted?
Lidos como
lidos
livro.
como livro. Olha
Eu acho que é
só.
isso.
Vamos a callar boca, por así decir.
Cola Noob não se provou ainda um jogador que jogou durante o Challengers NA. Não se provou, cara. Os números deles eram bizarros. Não tá puxando operator. Tá difícil, cara. Ele vai ter que aparecer. Alguma hora o Cola tem que aparecer.
If we hesitate, we're gonna mess up. We're not gonna hesitate. We know how important these next matches are for us.
Control of this round. Forcing the guard. Oh my god, quality. He literally just saw like the flash of his elbow, and he finds that kill.
Round que tava difícil, mas que a sinergia falou mais alto, os balaços falaram mais alto e Xande finaliza com um 4K. Ele nunca foi o problema, ele é a solução.
E a gente sabe que a gente é capaz, a gente sabe que a gente tem potencial e vamos ter que ir pra cima.
Hello everyone and welcome back to VCT Ascension Americas, where the competition is ramping up. We have a big day ahead of us, not just in terms of the stakes, but 3 matches for all you lovely individuals at home. So stick with us. It's going to be a long one, but a great day of Valorant ahead. My name's Sierra Dawn, joined here on the desk by Starry Bun and Tanner Metro. The stakes are so high today, Tanner. Not only are we finding out which team is going to be making it to the grand finals, at least one of them, we also have elimination matches on the line.
Yeah, that's the scariest thing is up until now, even through the groups, you know, your losses, it just meant you didn't get a bye into the group stage. And then the first day of playoffs, everything is still hunky-dory. And now things really start to get serious. And if the teams weren't feeling pressure before, they're definitely going to be feeling it today.
100%. And the way the bracket's been shaking up, I feel like there's a couple things that we got to see play out that would be exactly how we would be expecting them to, in consideration of some of the teams that have been making it on. But then looking at the bottom bracket, there is some really strong teams here, Starry Bun, that now have to be playing for their tournament life.
Yeah, we have like M80 in the lower bracket. We didn't probably expect to see M80 there, but I'm sure they're gonna have a plan to run through the lower bracket run. And then we have Fusion and 9Z, where it is a rematch. So I'm excited to see who's gonna come on top this time around.
And you say seeing M80 in the bottom bracket is a surprise, and it's a little bit surprising to see them there, and I don't disagree. But then I'm also looking at that upper finals there, Tanner, and seeing the Union and the Guard, and it's like, oh, which spot would they have taken actually realistically? Like, there is a lot of strength in the teams we have.
Well, and I think what's cool about that matchup and just kind of seeing the Guard and the success that they've been finding is, to me, I said it in day one, but the Union are kind of the Brazilian M80. Now, they look a lot better, or looked a lot better, especially when they played each other. So it's exciting for the Guard to be given this chance to play that #1 team in Brazil and bring their style of kind of like composed, being a bit more buttoned up and not so, you know, flashy koala go kill like M80 are, versus the, you know, Askia go kill that the Union brings to the matchup. So that's an exciting one.
Especially too, the Union's been a team that quite a few teams have been excited to play against, and M80 has been so vocal about that. But now, and M80 are playing to try and be moving on, as this is going to be the first match we're going to see today as they take on 00Nation, to see which team gets another chance to be proving themselves and which team we're going to have to be saying goodbye to. The very first team to be saying goodbye to at this point, Starry Bun. This is This is a little bit heartbreaking, and we've gotten to see so many good things from both of these squads so far. So this matchup here in the lower should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a little heartbreaking to see one of these teams go home after like the past like 7 months. We've seen these teams, you know, try to get promoted into, you know, challengers and like Ascension, and then now to the big next step. So it's kind of like all their hard work is like down to the line, like all the stops, all the comps, everything. They're gonna pull everything out. Like this is it for them.
Yeah, and for one of the two teams, I feel like for 00Nation, the not that the pressure isn't on, because it's still elimination. They don't want to go home, but they were a team that they even said in an interview, you know, they don't make it in split one and they kind of scrape by and they get here. So they're just happy to be here, and they're kind of counting their blessings, and I think they can play with no pressure. Whereas M80, we could see them feeling the pressure. Now, how do they look today when it's tenfold?
Yeah, and looking at 00Nation, they have the potential to stop one of the teams that have been talked about as a favorite going on in this. And as we focus in a little bit more on the team and the players, I feel like this is a player and a team that can be stopping that sort of momentum that teams are looking for. Talking a little bit more about BZN, I mean, this player, if you're trying to ice a player out whatsoever, but this is someone you can look to for that.
Yeah, BZN has had so many good impact rounds. He's been that guy for this team where he like bring in the momentum for them. His multi-kill rounds kind of like keeps the confidence of his team going. It helps them get more rounds. Like he's literally been that guy for this team.
Yeah, and to those multi-kill rounds, you can go back and it's a really weird, it's not something that can be tracked in way of statistics, but the momentum, like we mentioned, that this guy takes away. Teams will be winning rounds against 00Nation, but whatever BZN does at the end of the round will not only kill the momentum of the round win, more specifically the 9Z matchup on Fracture, it was BZN, the last one alive. He ends up killing everybody, not resetting the economy. It was actually 00Nation who were down on an eco, but because of the momentum stolen and the momentum given by BZN, 00Nation come back, they win a thrifty round, and then that map ends up kind of falling into their hands. So this guy is, again, the metric, it can't be measured, but you just have to pay attention to what he's doing. Even in rounds where they lose, he puts 00Nation in such a good spot.
And that's what I think is really interesting going into today's match, because we have this momentum stopper in BZN. We have this rock, this wall. But then when we're looking on the other side of M80, this is a team that we can see that momentum just slide on through. We could see how they could string things together, especially too, we want to look at somebody like Nismo, because Nismo, first off, has been playing absolutely wonderfully through Ascension so far. And this is somebody that can gain all of that momentum and then some for his team.
I really think Nismo has been the one to really step up for M80. He's definitely the person to like steal that momentum back. All of his insane clutches and his insane multi-kills, especially when he's on the raise. Like he's just had so much impact from M80 for turning around those like rounds, like those 1v4 that he had on like split, like just absolutely going ballistic.
And he's also been able to alleviate some of the duelist pressure that I think Koala has been feeling. Again, another metric that just can't be measured. What Nismo brings to the squad, especially now for M80 when things have looked really shaky. This guy's been their rock.
100%. So we got the rock over on 00Nation side versus this dynamite over on M80. So it'll be really interesting to see how that one is going to be playing out. And of course, how the players are feeling going into today's matchup. So.
Bom, a gente tem conhecimento de que a M80 é um time estruturado, eles têm ideias bem sólidas sobre como jogar e se adaptar durante o mapa. Acho que se a gente conseguir ter essa leitura durante o jogo, vamos conseguir sobressair sobre eles.
We're just gonna need to trust each other fully. This could be our last match as M80 together potentially, we don't know. We're gonna trust each other to the fullest. We're gonna play our best. We're gonna play our hearts out, and we're not gonna hesitate, because that's the killer. That's our killer. If we hesitate, we're gonna mess up. We're not gonna hesitate. We know how important these next matches are for us.
O que me dá essa confiança é que o campeonato vem nos ensinando muitas coisas e estamos aprendendo bastante com os erros. Estamos conseguindo absorver os erros de forma produtiva e a equipe toda vem evoluindo muito bem.
At the end of the day, I think that we're still the best team here. Whether we win or lose, we should be fine against them. They have a play style that we should be able to beat if we play correctly, and I'm confident in my team. It doesn't matter that we lost today, I'm confident that we'll win.
Com certeza somos um time melhor do que começamos. Eu sinto que aprendemos que temos que desenvolver um pouco mais essa parte da nossa adaptação durante o jogo. Só que de uma forma muito mais rápida, para isso ter um resultado bom.
Just you have to be honest with each other. Like I said, this is do or die. You can get eliminated. Everything has to come out now, and we have to make sure that we're on the same page with each other.
M80, 00Nation, 2 teams matching off now in our lower bracket. To start off, M80, this is a team, sorry Bun, that we said, hey, kind of surprising to see them down here, but all great teams, most great teams, need to be hitting that lower bracket at some point. They just have a longer run than a couple of others.
Yeah, I feel like M80 has been that titan in NA, and I feel like being on LAN on an international stage, like the pressure is different, the stakes are a lot higher, and I feel like maybe the pressure is getting to them just a little bit, but this is the lower bracket run. This is where they're gonna pull out all the stops. This is kind of like the do or die for them.
Do or die, and again, it's such a perplexing matchup because, like you mentioned, Starry, these were the Titans. These were the guys, a lot of people's favorites. And now the number 2 from Brazil has a chance to send him home.
100%, and that's the scary part too, because once you get into this LAN environment, any team can beat any given team on any day, and we've gotten to see too from this squad. Maybe the run has been a little bit tough so far, but it was something they spoke in that content piece, Starry, right before that, hey, we're learning how to adapt, we're getting better, so this is a chance to prove it with everything on the line.
Yeah, I feel like 00Nation hasn't showed us their peak. They haven't showed us their best. They definitely have those like glimmers and brilliances, like those little like moments where you know they can really shine, but they haven't really put it all together. And I would like to see them really do that in today's match.
They also come into this one again. I just want to preface it. I feel like they have no pressure, right? Nobody's the Union. If not M80, it's the Union to be expected to win. So if 00Nation are going to do it, it's going to be an underdog story. So I think they can come into this one and just let sparks fly.
100%, but heading into our map picks and bans going on into this, I feel like this could be a really big indication for these two teams, especially when we're looking this team of M80 and this pressure of how things are going to be shaking out. No surprise with that ban, but Split, not one that M80 necessarily, I think Tanner likes to be playing on, but they've definitely shown us they are more than capable.
They are capable on this one. It's also one where we could quite possibly, you know, we highlighted Nismo at the top, but we could see him playing the Raze and again, alleviating some of the pressure that I think Koala's feeling this tournament.
And as the rest of the videos coming on through M80, we got to see how strong they were against the guard with Lotus the other day, so I like them picking that up. Haven as the decider. Sorry, how are we feeling about this pool just in general for these squads?
I feel like this map pool kind of favors M80. I feel like 00Nation compared to M80 has like a very shallow map pool, and Lotus being a map that M80 is very comfortable on, they've always been very high performing on that map. And then Split being a map that like we highlighted Nismo on, where he's just been going insane on that race. So I feel like maybe the maps go towards M80 a little bit, but obviously 00Nation like have really nothing to lose here, so they're kind of gonna give it their all and see what they have planned against M80.
And I mean, I will bark, I will meow, I will do whatever. I'll make elephant noises if we could just get to a map 3. Haven looks so good for 00Nation. It also is one of the stronger maps for M80. We also haven't been given a map 3 just yet, so for that one to be the decider in this elimination matchup, it would be really exciting to get there.
It would be, but when we're looking at Split, to start things off here, despite the fact that it is 00's pick. I'm intrigued with how it'll be playing out because 00Nation, I don't believe we've actually seen them on split for a little bit here. I think it's been a couple of months, whereas M80, even if this is not their go-to started to be going to things, they have been looking good. I am intrigued when we're looking at Nismo as someone that we've been highlighting, what look we're going to be seeing, whether it's that raise or the KO, because he has brought out both. I would love to see the raise, but the KO has just been a little bit more recent.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about like taking the pressure off Koala Noob a lot, and I feel like maybe with Nismo popping more off on the raise, he's more keen to lean towards the raise a little more, just to kind of like help alleviate that pressure, kind of help build that confidence and momentum for his team.
Should be really interesting, and that's a really good thing to be bringing up as well, because that was also in the content piece about Koala Noob. We know how high this player can soar. We know that Koala Noob has such a high peak here, Tanner, but it's something that we've been struggling to see a little bit so far in Ascension.
Yeah, I mean, even in the kind of the matchup yesterday, which I think is one of the hardest that they could play, I think M80 playing the guard, that right there is, even if they run it back with the Union, having to beat the guard again after going through an entire, challenger circuit with them, it was bound to happen for M80, bound to lose. The entire team didn't really show up, but like you mentioned, the content piece, Koala, everybody's noticing it, which means Koala is also noticing it. So to go back to Starry's point, I do really hope that we get to see the Nismo raise here, bring in that double dive. It does help alleviate a lot of that pressure from Koala Noob, especially when, we saw Nismo's stats. This guy is like, he can be the firepower that they need. He can allow Koala Noob for just once, for maybe one series or for just one map to be a secondary character in this one. He doesn't necessarily have to be the main character.
Especially too, looking at yesterday's maps, maybe it was a little bit of a slower start for Koala Noob, but there was definitely those moments of brilliance where I could see the Koala Noob that we know. There was definitely some absolutely wicked shots. So I feel like too, if there maybe is the chance to let Koala Noob get a little bit more comfortable heading into this match, take a little bit of that firepower off with Nismo maybe stepping up into the raise, that maybe then halfway through the map or map 2, we could really see Koala Noob come online to where Tanner's wishes maybe won't come true with that third map.
Honestly, I would love to see a third map go in, only because we've had such clean 2-0s like in the past matchups. But yeah, like for Koala, like he's such a good player. Like we know how good he is. I feel like maybe just being on land is just a little bit of pressure, and being like that star duelist role, there's like a lot of expectations for you, and sometimes like that pressure can get to you a little bit. So with Nismo there for like the extra firepower needed, I feel like Koala Noob's able to kind of like get used to like the land setting, kind of ease into the matchup and kind of pick up that pace a little better, because I feel like yesterday's matchup against the guard during like the second half, the second map, that's when he was like really popping off and showing that like Koala Noob that we usually see and know. So maybe just like that little start is just like a slow start for him, and maybe today he'll be able to pop off.
I do want to mention kind of I know we've been talking about really what Koala and M80 kind of need to do to get back to the M80 of old. I think for 00Nation, though, they're in such a good spot to make sure that doesn't happen. Yesterday, they slow things down, or they underestimate, they underestimate their opponent. Now there's no way in hell that they do that against M80, so I think we're going to see the strongest 00Nation.
Interesting, though, is we are going to be seeing Nismo bringing out the KO yet again, so that is not going to be the raise, to be having that extra firepower, taking that little bit of pressure off of Koala Noob to be starting things off here, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure they have like a game plan going in. I'm pretty sure like with Nismo, even on KO, he still has like a very high impact on that agent, and I'm pretty sure he'll be able to like set Koala Noob up for those kills and get just like a lot of information around the map.
Let's definitely be interesting, because 00Nation definitely has ways to be slowing down this M80 squad. Let's see if they can slow them down enough and try and take the first map here in this elimination match. And we're going to be throwing over to Dust and I hold shift to figure it out.
To figure it out, we shall, friends. What's up, everybody? How are we all doing? We've got lower bracket matches to start the day, of course, as the desk is already set up for you. And Dust, the thing is, even though neither of these two teams have played a lot of this map over the course of the year, M80 did put together a really resounding result versus 9Z to start off their first time playing this map here in Ascension.
Not only that, but they were pretty good in North America on this map the handful of times they played it as well. I mean, they beat the Guard in the grand finals of Challengers playoffs. You know, they beat Oxygen Esports, which is one of the top 4 teams in NA Challengers in the regular season, is split 2. Their only loss was in overtime. So they come into this with a 3-1 record, and they're running the composition they've run the majority of the time. Yes, they ran double duelist, but that was only one game. You know, so they're very familiar with this composition with Nismo on the KO, so they're going to feel comfortable coming into this, I imagine. As far as 00Nation goes, they've only played split twice in general, so I'm really curious about this pick.
Hold on here, Dustin's got a little bit of early aggression set over through mid. Quality getting the first, charging the dash, but not able to get away. And actually, that is not a bad trade at all for 00Nation. We get to a very early 3v3. The defense has to rotate over to try to help out at B.
At least they have B main anchored because of the position that EU has, so that gives them a little bit of an extra foothold to get back into the site once the spike goes down, as long as they can get this rotation through B heaven, which they do. Nismo able to find Zan right away.
BZN has to get something up here, topside rafters. A couple of shots do come out, but not collect. Speaking of not collecting, everyone flashed up around the site, but the shot's not quite landing. And how about Xian holding his ground down towards the bottom side of the spike being planted itself, and 00Nation take the pistol.
Yeah, I might have to say it's a bit of a whiff, though, from M80. I mean, they had EU anchored in B main. They got that initial kill in B heaven, so that's 3-on-2. And then, you know, all of a sudden, despite EU having such a great position, he's up against a flashed player inside the site. He's unable to connect the dots. I mean, when this frag happens and the flash comes out on site, I mean, yeah, I guess Xian wasn't fully phased by the flash, but still, it felt like EU had the jump on him and should have been able to make something happen. So a bit of a slip there, but 00Nation able to get the job done. Again, this is a map I was really curious to see them pick just because they haven't played it very much, just twice, and they played drastically different compositions between the 2 games that they have played on this map coming into this one. And they have elected to play the same comp they played against Liberty in the last split they played, but that was, you know, 2 months ago.
Yeah, it's a really good shout, and there has to be something to be said about, again, 00Nation coming into this matchup, trying to predict what the hard veto has been for M80, which is not hard to predict, to be fair. So something about trying to finesse the map pool, I'm sure, was put into conversation, as now all of a sudden you've got SMG starting to threaten already into B tower. John is just throwing shoulders on the staircase, but BZN's long lurk into A could create some big problems here for M80.
And indeed it could, depending on which direction he chooses to go. He could definitely get in behind here on John Cutie, who is playing very passively on these stairs, just trying to keep tabs on B heaven. They're looking to play the A stack and B retake. BZN does come in, catches Xander completely off guard, and EU as well caught sitting. John Cutie likely able to nope, never mind.
No!
That is unfortunate.
Wow, BZN. That's first 3 kills, 3 headshots, no worries whatsoever. And now all of a sudden, 00Nation are on the hunt, looking to finish off these eliminations. But Qualanoop has something to say about it, only gets the 1. So no flawless round here, but give him credit for it. 00Nation getting away with murder in the first 2 rounds.
And that's something that M80 is going to have to watch out for. I mean, 00Nation is a very aggressive team, and they're also very good at those nifty little lurk plays like you saw in that round. They like to do a lot of the 4-1 split type plays where, you know, they group up as a pack to attack one area of the map and then have someone like BZN on the Viper, you know, make these little lurk type plays. So that's something they're going to have to keep an eye on throughout the course of this match. 00Nation is a really interesting team for me, Schiff, because at the beginning of the year, they really struggled in the first split in Brazil. They didn't even make the playoffs of that split. They bring in BZN and Zan, and then they wind up just being second to Union and really turning things around. But as this bonus kicks off, Qualanoop able to draw first blood.
Yeah, it's a pretty clean first blood at that. Qualanoop does get tagged, but he's got the support of EU nearby, so he'll be back to full HP. Spam from ramp side for 00Nation, just looking to connect onto anybody up top. Nismo gets 1 before dropping. Follow up from Xander, good for the trade. 1 more on the close box, but Xander snaps, gets the second headshot in the land. Barton now the last one left. This will be a 1v4 for him. Spike down just to his left, but the problem is he's got just the Spectre and a lot of long-range gunfights in front of him. And Barton will back up for just a moment, trying to get a little bit of a reset with the stars being placed. If he could find a rifle, that would be exquisite for the effort. And yeah, he will be able to grab a Vandal while also simultaneously picking up the spike. Does he decide to cross back or commit forward? Looks like maybe a little bit of both, as he takes a couple of spam shots and will still play behind the box. First shots land, second not going to be there, as EU will clean things up, but a punishing bonus in the end for 00Nation.
Yeah, they brought down 3 players. Good little stagger, you know, side set there from John Cutie and EU, though. They're not giving him any more 1v1s to make sure they at least take the round away on their first 5. But as you said, it's going to really force them to dip into their pockets earlier than they want to replenish these weapons. Obviously, we're going to be able to see 00Nation get their full buy-in, and get us going back to 00Nation. Again, a great turnaround within Brazil between splits to be able to make it here to Ascension. Again, the only team that was able to really best them in the playoffs of the second split was Union.
Yeah,
they were able to beat everyone else. But Union did beat them all 5 matches they played against each other between the upper bracket and the grand final. But so far within Brazil, in the group stages and even in the upper brackets of these playoffs, 00Nation's looked a bit off, if we're honest. So they really need to dig deep here and figure it out, otherwise they could find themselves eliminated on home turf.
Yeah, I think the thing about the matchup that they played versus Fusion, it just looked like they weren't really on their game. Lots of kind of sloppy gunfights and missed opportunities just by way of just not hitting shots. So far today, though, looking like they're much more in tune with what their usual selves would look like previously. So a little bit of contest here through A main. Weapons are still fully purchased across the board as the hit still is a bit labored through mid.
Yeah, and that's good to see because when I was watching Vaz's 00Nation coming into this, they looked, eye-test-wise, like a really solid team. And Zan able to get a nice entry there. Xander, though, with the snake bite from the grave, able to at least keep things even. Qualanoob trying to play up close on main and get a little bit of something. He's going to get a little bit of a double-double, you know what I mean?
I know what you mean there, buddy. Got Xian dropping down in towards site, though. Qualanoob a bit stuck over towards B main. Help is on the way as a knife will at least re-enter most of this M80 defense in towards B tower, but there was a barrier orb in their way. So Xian will have some information that he's going to be contested. Still has a flash. Fragment will back him off the angle, and here comes M80 trying to get in towards the site. Xian completely kept that bay, and that's his perfect breakdown with numbers for M80.
Yeah, and that was a much cleaner win for M80 as well. They're not going to have to do as much repurchasing here. Qualanoob even has Blade Storm if they need to cycle the weapon over. They could, and he can pull the ult. Nice double frag from him holding B main. That meant everything for M80 on that round, even things back up at 2 apiece.
Yeah.
As, of course, M80 came into this tournament, very high expectations. They were the clear #1 team in North America. They won the midseason face-off. They won Challengers playoffs. They had the head-to-head advantage over the Guard, I believe, 2-1 in series score. Obviously, now that's all evened up at 2 apiece after what we saw here on LAN in the upper bracket yesterday. So now there is still a score to settle on who is truly #1 team in NA throughout these Ascension playoffs if we get that matchup again.
Ooh, Dust, take a look at this. We've got double shotgun plays coming out here for M80, and it will be a judge handled by Xander as he will be stacked up inside his own Viper's Pit at mid. The only defender on the B site, though, is EU, and he's kind of stuck in a corner, and yeah, he will jump the ropes to get back towards tower.
Indeed. Willing to play retake B if need be. Don't want to fall prey to this utility dive onto the site. They are able to break the barrier wall and get a little bit of a gap there that they can watch players cross from heaven, but they are smoked off for now. 00Nation taking their time, though, trying to swing both sides of pillar.
Sand gets a little bit of a boost up top. Well, that's well done. Combining with Barton as the knives are now out for Qualanoob. Uncharacteristic misses. Now he's just stuck with a Bucky. BZM looking for the plant, but here comes M80. Pinstrike kill feed. Xian deep. Oh my goodness. How about that for 00Nation? The one thing I would say about these two teams matching up against each other is that 00Nation has not been good when they're at an economic disadvantage, but that is a key round to steal away and continue to build their lead.
Yeah, I think something that you've also had to pick up on early by now, if you're not too familiar with these teams, is both these teams have to play real fast. Shift, I imagine we're going to see a lot of full throttle rounds like this. We're not going to see very many, slow defaults or really methodical, mid-round play. Both these teams really like to kind of just gather up, play that aggressive play style. But what I will say is that the aggression of both of these teams is usually very measured. It's usually very coordinated. They're not like just a loose and scrappy team like what Fusion was in the past, or like Union is sort of, really rely on individual plays. Like, they have really good supporting utility around their aggression, and usually their spacing and timings are very good. So yes, it's fast, but it's sharp. I mean, I guess is what I'm trying to get at here. You're not going to catch people on an island too often.
Ooh, how about this? A little Cosmic Divide with utility bait over towards B, but Qualanoob, the sole defender at A with an operator, gets one. A little burst across the crossfire. Zan will get up top with the spike in hand here, and M80 are not fully convinced on where this play is coming from, and now they have to be a little bit careful on rotation. Kazanda's going to make his way in towards vents to try to cut someone off through mid.
Yeah, they have a lot of positioning on the map right now, and a good fake thrown at B side, but Nismo from Mail able to pick up on the back of Artson, and John Pirifan Xion. And M80 seemingly has the read on all fronts, able to find everything that they were looking for. It might even wind up being a flawless unless Barton can come up with something here as he tries to creep up middle.
And concealment.
The utility play was just so good from 00Nation, but it immediately gets thwarted by a single shot by Koala Noob. And yes, indeed, Dust, it's gonna be a Zeddy flawless. I'm not gonna lie, just on paper and in the executable moment, it looked like 00Nation had all the advantages they could possibly want. They pulled another M80 member on towards B, but the problem was the player holding at A in Koala Noob hits, as he often does, and 00Nation are in distraught after that.
Yeah, Koala Noob getting the open pick with the op on A is huge to kind of get the read that there might be a potential fake going on. And it's also the mid play, is the fact that Nismo was playing mailroom. He had support as well. They were keeping this focus on middle, which did two things. One, it allowed them to read if it would be a B split, and two, it kind of allowed them to catch, you know, any type of rotation through vents. You know, if 0-0 were looking to make some type of quick mid-round pivot, they were guarding it. As Zan gets the vents very quickly here.
Yeah, I was going to say, again, just more calculated aggression through mid. Was also important to note that in that last round, Xi'an got all the way through B, but the one thing that you have to know about M80 on this map, defensively speaking, is that they're okay giving away space and just being avid about knowing that there could be players around the back. Xi'an found nothing on his long flank, so now we're back into an eco round, essentially. Nismo up top can really deal some damage here, takes off the foot of Artson. Knife just confirms that there is another member nearby. That's Zond. And, well, that will not be enough for him to try to challenge as the focus goes back towards B Tower, right into the waiting arms of Xander, who's going to try to double peek this with John Cutie. There's the shoulder. Doesn't quite see Xi'an, but it should be a nice Nebula play. But no, Nebula only pulls one, and Xander only gets the first, but Koala Noob on the site does provide another elimination, and M80 look good defensively here.
Indeed they do. Koala Noob's operator seems to be rattling off quite nicely here. He's already found two, maybe finding a third. BZN actually trying to go for this right now. He drops the Viper's Pit. He does have Spike in his possession, but he's got little time, and the positioning is so good. And yeah, as you said, he's stuck. I am shocked he decided to pull the trigger on this Viper's Pit right now. This is a very huge dice roll from him.
Spam shots do connect. Down to 71 HP. Here comes the rest of the assistants. And yeah, EU gets it just by spamming through the top, and he's sitting there saying, what was that play?
I think that was a horrible call. I don't understand the Viper's Pit in that situation. I don't think you're going to pull that off. I think that's a waste of an ult. Would have really rather have seen him save it. I also would have rather seen a double peek there. Like, the perfect way to approach that angle is to swing both sides of the vents at the same time and force him to have to choose a target. Instead, he got to single out the foot of one player, fall back, knife, get the confirmation on the second. I know that was a little bit of a low buy from 00Nation, so I'm not going to harp on it too hard. It was always going to be an uphill climb, but I think they could have been a little bit more efficient in how they handled that.
I think Artson may have thought he was still concealed as well with that little extra step forward, because he wasn't committing on full walking. He just took an extra step, and that's where the foot got seen. So could have been a battle of inches right there, but M80 get to 4. Important to note that this calendar year, they have never gotten less than 7 on the defense, and 00Nation have a lot of ultimates in play that could possibly get them to 4 quickly to get this thing tied.
Boombot will surpass Koala Noob and not detect his presence on this forward angle, so he'll get to keep it. Meanwhile, BZN creeping up through A ramps, guiding light did not detect that, so M80 still a bit in the dark as far as how much progress has been made by 00Nation on A, but now, of course, all of this will let them know what's up. They're trying to run away from the showstopper, and they will dodge it. That's big.
That is huge. I don't think it actually fully got in towards A tower, if I'm being honest. May have caught the edge. Seekers are out defensive, looking for a retake. Nismo shut down. BZN gets first. How about Barton? Able to follow up, and the shot's not clean for EU. So now, Koala Noob, John Cutie, they're not fully committed into this retake, and they may have to hold off unless Koala Noob can get to work. Oh, not quite. If he were to have tallied another elimination, knives would have been earned, but as John Cutie gets back into A tower, 00Nation will take the round, only dropping 1, and we're tied at 4.
Yeah, they caught a really nice timing, dodging that initial guiding light, so they were not detected. Then they were able to get to space, plunge the site. Yeah, the showstopper doesn't hit, but it pushes M80 backwards in heaven and in screens, which gives all the space in the world to 00Nation on site, and M80 elects to fight ramp pretty quickly there.
Yeah.
And they just got whittled away. I would have loved to see them stall to allow Koala Noob's flank to get into play, but I suppose with an op, they were concerned what impact he'd be able to have close range and wanted to try to fight to give him a little bit more breathing room, but did not pan out, and now we're all square, 4-4.
Yep. Big round here for 00Nation. You could possibly force M80 back into a bit of a save. Xi'an thinking about this early peak as there's a 5-man stack here for 00Nation. EU's holding on to some utility as the toxic screen goes up. Spam shots will come through, but M80 have not committed any resources to trying to check this yet.
And I mean, again, you're going to see a lot of this shift, and fans out there, if you're not used to 00Nation, they love this. These 5-man gather, fast-paced executes. They do not waste any time as Zan, the tip of the spear, is going to get between the eyes of QualiNoob. An instant 5 versus 4, but still a lot of time on the clock to play around with here. Seeker's now out, and they're looking to go ahead and plunge forward. Oh, what a beautiful series.
Flash. Yeah, Flash Nebula pulls it in. No worries there whatsoever. Nismo's gonna have to check this by just flashing himself into the site, and oh my goodness, Xander gets 2 up top. How have M80 pulled this back? Arts and Barton both down low. Barrier orb placed. Xander is on site, and he splits the offense into 2 pieces. Now it's just down to Artston for the 1v2. Gets the first, shots from the high ground, goes to the slow orb instead. It will land, but Xander's gonna be able to stay here. Can Artston take the res? Tries to bait it out. Xander's back in, and how about the play from Artston to essentially clutch that one up by himself? And 00Nation take back the lead.
Yeah, they put Xander in basically an impossible position there. They slow him to where he can't really freely peek. Then they go for res. And it's like, he's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't at that point, right? If you don't peek, you allow the res, you're going to get 2v1'd. If you do peek, again, you're slowly coming out because you're on an orb. And they could easily just use the res as bait and put you in a tough 1 versus 1, followed by the res completing. So it was a really well done series there from 00Nation. I love their initial entries as well. I mean, beautiful work from Zan. It was a miracle that we were even able to see M80 reel it back in and have a shot at it, to be honest with you. But 00Nation with the res, hold on, get the job done, getting good work. I mean, Zan has been their best player all throughout the year, and I can tell you that so far in Ascension, he is top 5 for ACS, ADR, kills per round, and first kills per round. So he has really carried over his form from regional play into this Ascension tournament and has been a key star for 00Nation, and those 2 entries were everything.
Yeah, and how big does that pan out when you're playing up against a player like QualiNoob on the other side, where you know that that's going to be a huge focus for not just us, but also I imagine the devs, because QualiNoob is QualiNoob, and like Tanner had said, there are options and times where M80 just says QualiNoob go frag, and that usually wins them rounds more often than not. So it'd be huge to keep him honest and keep him at bay just a touch longer, as there is just enough economy here for M80 to still scramble a buy with knives in play here for QualiNoob. Just comes down to what the execution looks like, considering there are a ton of ultimates at the ready. Xander's going to use his Viper's Pit to control A, and 00Nation really don't have a way to clear this outside of Zan's utility himself.
Yeah, they look like they wanted to do one of those gather plays yet again on A, but this Viper's Pit has forced them to reconsider their execute. In the meantime, QualiNoob has gotten a forward angle on B main, and so M80 have a lot of good map control and intel right now across the map. It's funneling 00Nation into just a heavy mid play, which they're more than happy to do.
Oh, and Zan will take over ropes. Nismo was nearby, but he got pushed back by the slow orb. QualiNoob's knives still looking for something through B main, but like you mentioned, 00Nation have read this nicely. Guiding Light will clear a B tower, and that looks like that's going to be where the setup comes from. Counter flashes out, but this really does not dissuade 00Nation from continuing forward.
It does not, but M80 still have good footholds. If they're able to keep control of B main with QualiNoob, and then play backside or back halls could be a problem. But oh no, BZN catches Nismo. That's a rotator now gone. Now the pressure on Xander with his Viper's Pit as the solo A defender. Snake bites Heaven, trying to buy time. Does so again. So he's stalling them nicely, but can they hold it off as this rotation comes through back halls?
Oh, the blast pack just takes Xander's aim a bit astray. Shorty out, but no, Barton beats him to the punch. 13 seconds on the clock, though. Hold a second. QualiNoob takes down the spike carrier. 10 seconds on the clock. Someone's got to collect this implant. BZN tried to do just that, and it looks like he will stay safe enough to reset this into a 3v3. Heal out for EU. Gets QualiNoob back to full health. Cosmic Divide is at the ready for M80, and they are going to play backside screens as a full 3-man force. Xan to the corner. QualiNoob, quite literally the tip of the spear, with all 5 knives at the ready. There's the Cosmic Divide. Flash comes through. Here's the check. No worries. First shots land. BZN changes the angle. Gets the immediate trade. 2v2. Barton trying to play through screen side, but it's BZN who finds the kills. It's 4 in the round for BZN, and 00Nation get to 6.
Indeed, they do. A beautiful round from BZN. BZN not normally known as the star of this team. That's usually kind of Artson and Zam that kind of take up that role as kind of the heavy hitters of this squad. But I can tell you that BZN has come into these playoffs of Ascension, and throughout the entirety of Ascension thus far, he has been top 10 in almost every metric shift. He has been really just finding new form at just the right time to really help 00Nation along. I know that they've had some rough moments, if we're honest, throughout this tournament. I think things haven't gone as well as they had hoped. You know, losing to the Guard and Fusion in pretty one-sided fashion, and both of those, you know, getting 2-0'd and not even putting that many rounds on the board. But they look fired up today here with elimination on the line.
And M80 are all of a sudden kind of backs up against the wall here. This will be the lowest total of defensive rounds won on the year, no matter even if they finish out with 2 straight wins here. And that last round was a costly one. Viper's Pit, Cosmic Divide, Knives all done. So it's just the null command left, whereas for 00Nation, they're close to having a couple of ultimates of their own as they start to approach through mid. Xander could check through this, but is going to instead play his life, see if he actually is the one to get checked. Xian not interested, but you can see both players are waiting for this Nebula to fade.
Oh boy.
And the observing team is thinking the same thing. And oh, how about Xander? Nismo comes to assist, but hold on a second. Trades across the map. Still make this manageable for 00Nation. Problem is, with that elimination, now the Spike is all of a sudden in a very bad spot.
Indeed, it is. Not really a way for BZN to get back to it. He had Viper's Pit as well, so if he could have somehow gotten Spike, maybe you think he's got a chance, but not going to happen. He's just going to save it. Will be 5-6, still favoring 00Nation. And you're right. As far as M80 is concerned, defensively speaking, they normally get 7 or more rounds. We've seen them even get 8 against the Guard in the playoffs of Challengers. So normally and they always start defense. You know, every time that they've played this map, it's been their opponent picking it, so they've been able to play defense first and usually able to get the job done. Their attacking win rate, though, is only about 47%. Yes, they can put those 5 to 6 rounds up at times, but that's not going to be enough this time around. They're going to have to do even more work than that if they want to win this in regulation. That's even if they can find the 6th round before we switch sides, right? I mean, that's definitely not a foregone conclusion. Not with the arsenal that 00Nation will be bringing to this next round with that Viper's Pit as well as the weaponry. But I mean, here's the thing, like these rounds are just going by so fast. It's so hard to track. Like, these fights are breaking out all across the map rapidly, and it's not going to slow down. I'm going to tell you that right now. Both these teams are willing to go slug at each other. Like, no one's going to back down. Both these teams like to bring the pace on the attacking side, which means the defense is going to have to respond in kind. So you're going to see a lot of these rounds decided in the first, like, 15 to 30 seconds.
Well, a little bit of patience here from both teams. No one really wanted to make the step forward. Zand is 1 away from a showstopper, but there's no play for Orbs as of yet. Double stack for the offense over towards B-main could start to give us an insinuation that that might be eventually a play, but for the time being, it's just a little bit of utility checking through mid for both sides.
Yeah, mid looking to be the point of interest here for 00Nation as they creep into fence. They do find Xander this time around. No multi-frag from the defenseman of M80. Start clearing out Heaven side there with the Trailblazer. Nismo trying the counter with the 0 point, but eventually Counter Glide pushes him back. But Koala Noob hits a brilliant op shot, and he's got support on the site with him.
Cloud comes down. Nismo did pop the null command, so no more utility could be used for the time being. Koala Noob tallies his second. Up top, AEU part of the play. Only getting 1 though. Go but the frenzy's out, and how about the duality between Koala and John Cutie on the site? Just enough assistance and help from their teammates up top, and we'll get a 6-6 half.
Yeah, that was looking a little bit grim when Xander got caught in vent so early, but they can never really get out of B Heaven. They were stalled a bit by Nismo on the stairs, and then John Cutie and Koala Noob combo together on the site to catch them as they come in. Brilliant work from Koala Noob with the operator. Equal value being provided essentially from John Cutie, not only fragging but also serving as a distraction at times to allow others to slip in. And I mean, all in all, a pretty wild ride of a half. It was very back and forth, but I think those final 2 rounds going M80's way does keep them in the hunt.
I agree. And I think this pistol is super crucial for M80 as well, because 00Nation defensively, that had been their better half. Now, again, their sample size is 2 on the year, but still, it's one of those things that M80 are going to feel pretty obligated, I think, to want to take this pistol. Ooh.
Yeah.
Artson taps the orb, says, "Hey, I'm here, by the way. Don't hit my barrier orb. I put hard work into that."
Wild, as it will be an immediate fall back to sewers from M80 towards middle. We are seeing BZN kind of jiggle this at least from male side, so he'll detect this here soon.
Well, the knife and the guiding light will give him a lot of info, but M80 started to think about heading towards sewers. Not a full commitment yet. Koalanoob moving in. This would be essentially a 1v2 point of contact for him. First, wow, lots of damage, but doesn't get the kill. Xand is gonna play just below, and oh my goodness, he gets one. Anything more? Sure, why not? Double for Xand. Xander trying to get back to the play, but the problem is they just do not have the numbers nor the health pool you'd think to continue forward. They have to take some miraculous shots as Xand gets back to full health, essentially.
Yeah, they're trying to stick together and pushing through as best they can on the side, but Xander is low
30
HP.
seconds left.
Spike is down. 00Nation have good positioning all across the map. It's going to take a miracle, as you said, and, well, it just doesn't seem like it's going to happen. Xion finding Xander, the low health target. John Key, though, finds a couple, but he's just not the time.
Going quickly up the ropes, almost. Goodness. 00Nation, they were on the retreat back trying to play for the clock, but boy, they almost got a little bit caught up. But regardless, Pistol still won, and a chance for the bonus likely to come into play as we have Spectres being purchased.
Yeah, again, we just don't have the sample size, as you said, on 00Nation to know what their attacking half can really do on split. They only got 3 attacking rounds in the regular season against TBK. That was back in March, and then they played Liberty and got 6 attacking rounds in the first half of that game, which that would be enough to get the W now at this point with the Fist round victory. Agreed. But again, they played drastically different compositions both those games. We just don't know how comfy they are on the attacking side of this map with this particular comp.
Well, at the moment, they're looking pretty darn good.
It was a pistol round. Come on, Chip. Calm down.
I'm just saying, from the offensive half as well, give him some credit.
Oh, for
Paint
sure.
shells over the top. Xander's in trouble. Slow orb will push him back, and once again, we have this same little toggle play of, hey, don't take down my barrier orb. I'm right here.
Yeah. It's M80 gathering up here at B. Mainly do have Koalanoob with the Marshall to try to see if he can maybe grab a pick, but Barton playing a pretty safe little jump spot here. Not really going to give him much of an opportunity.
Well, the one Marshall shot does give 00Nation something to think about, and maybe a little bit of respect to be given as well, as it's going to be a very late rotation all the way through the offensive spawn over towards an A commit with just 45 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, time is definitely going to be a pressing factor because of this late transition. 00Nation does have 3 players at A defending now. The other 2 rotators are not really in position to make a move to A very quickly, so M80 could maybe still catch a timing, but it's against a heavy defense. But a great pickup on Xand.
The anti-flash not working out for Xand. Artsin also in a little bit of trouble. Koalanoob gets 2. Xion a part of the defense, though, as he gets to screens. Does trade it back to a 3v3, but the spike will be planted by Nismo. Deep snakebite, not quite going to land as Xander is low, but trying to threaten through screens, and Xion will get his 3rd. Now to the 2v3 post-plant hold. Pistol only for BZN to pay a lot of respect to Koalanoob at that range with the Marshall in hand. And looks like that will be the case. Barton getting to work, placing his final stars. Nismo going to be flash, but still keeping his life for now. Barton coming from the other side. Contact can be made as the swing is in. First shots are good, and Xion will get 4 of the 5 as 00Nation will survive with 3.
Shocking to even get a spike plant in that scenario. That was a thrifty for them, but they got trapped in the corner, never really able to find some good, comfortable ground in the post plant. 00Nation very quick to react and use their numbers well to put that one away. Nice little swing here from Barton and co. Never really giving them a chance. So 00Nation, again, starting to piece things together. Again, this is a team that I was really impressed with when I was watching their film from the second split of the Brazil regional play. To me, the eye test only, they were tactically better than Union. Like, I thought that they were a little bit more put together as far as just how refined their play was. Yes, they were aggressive like Union, but their team play seemed a little tighter. I was kind of shocked to see them struggle as much as they have throughout Ascension so far. This is more of the 00Nation I'm expecting.
Well, BZN taking heaps of damage. Was trying to get sneaky into the poison cloud, but that won't work out. Xander being threatened over towards A long, but this is all about Artsin just trying to get himself the orb, which he will collect, and everything will stay neutral for now to the 5v5, although late swing comes through, and Artsin gets it with a pistol. Follow-up from John Cutie, though, still allows the trades to favor M80.
You are divided.
Yeah, that's a nice recovery there from John Cutie in what could have been a dangerous situation, as they're going to look to pounce onto A with the Cosmic Divide off the back of that. There is a big flank coming through their spawn, but it's not really going to get there in enough time to cause too much of a problem as far as the spike plant's concerned. And obviously the superior weaponry does sit with M80 in this 00 bonus, so a good chance that they can put this to 7-8, but hold the phone. Okay, never mind. Quality Noob able to pick up on that. That was nearly dangerous.
But do they expect that Barton's here? Okay, well now they'll know. Vandal does collect one elimination though, so the 2v3 retake is on the way. Spectre trying to get it done for BZN, but put aside by EU. Now everyone, and then, well, their mom knows where BZN's position, or part of Barton's position. And it looks like at this point he says, nope, no chance here with the time remaining, and he'll back away to save.
Now gonna hold on to a Vandal. Has a good amount of credits as well. Maybe could drop someone if need be. Again, this was their bonus, so definitely can still get a full purchase in the next. Made that one fairly costly for M80. Gonna have to rebuy 3 players.
But they do get to plant a number of kills, so those should be fine.
Just limits their reserves a little bit.
Yep.
As this was a really cool double swing.
It was wide. I mean, that was near run and gun as you've ever seen.
Smart play, though. Like, when you're in a bonus situation like that, you double swing, someone holding an angle, you feel like you could trade that. Just weren't expecting John Cutie to be there for the follow-up. And, well, speaking of follow-ups, M80 are looking to keep the pace up. It looks like you're gathering up for this A attack right away.
Yeah. And they've got a judge in hand here for quality, one away from Blades. Nova Pulse spent, but look at the paint shells. Oh, so well played by Zan. Lots of chip damage coming through, but Xander still finds first blood. Xian stuck on site, and Xander gets a second. Goodness, how good has he been today so far? BZN trying to shut him down, but no one can stop Xander. 3 kills in the round. All of them go to the offensive Viper. And why not plant as well? Just Mr. Do It All this round.
I mean, we talked about it, Schiff. We prepared everyone. These rounds are going to get decided very often in the first, you know, 15 to 20 seconds or so. Both these teams love to just play the run it down, fast-paced play style. But again, both these teams very good at their utility usage and their spacing. It's not, you know, loose and sloppy. It is very refined.
Well,
very precise.
Here comes the 2v4. John round the back though, shutting it down almost immediately. Barton, not much you can do here. Similar situation as last round, just not a lot of time and not a lot of chances. And well, he does at least again make it punishing, but ultimately M80 will tie us at 8.
They will, but I will say, like, as you were kind of noting there, taking that damage is kind of critical because the game is close and you're constantly having to replenish a lot more than you want when you're having to rebuy weapons, and it keeps their credits low, which means that you're very close to saving the moment you lose just 1 round, rather than having reserves left over, you know, to keep yourself in the fight for a bit longer. So while 0-0 are losing some rounds, they are keeping themselves very much in the race. Tie game, and again, they're keeping the credits fairly low on M80. As you kind of noted, Xander, he has indeed been playing very well in Ascension thus far. He is in or near the top 10 for ACS, KD, and kills per round. So we always knew him as one of the best controllers in North America. He's really brought that to the table here at Ascension. Big round for him there.
Yeah, huge round for M80 overall as well. As now all of a sudden, look at this from 00Nation. They realize the play is coming over towards A, but they try to be the proactive team. It works out for the first kill, but nothing more. So again, the trades favor M80. We go to a 4v3. Post plant looks pretty imminent, but 00Nation at least have regained control of A tower. Barton checking down low. No ults for this retake, but Artson does have a lot of utility. There's 1 away from a potential res if you can find a pick somewhere. Same can be said for M80. They have not committed the Viper's Pit. That's at the ready for this post-plant hold, trusting their numbers, and so far it's working out. 4v2 situation, and Xander again tallies up BZN and Barton, who tries to save for like the 4th time this half. This time not able to get away from it, and M80 regaining the lead.
And finally, they get a clean win, right? And then now they can start their economy. Also, you're going to have to give a shout to Qualinoob right now. He's had 21 kills already in this map, but still several rounds left to go. And, I mean, this dude was like #1 or #2 in almost every metric the entirety of Challengers in North America. I mean, the guy was absurd. You know, he was #1 first kills per round in NA. Again, he was top 3 ACS, ADR, kills per round, you name it. He was towards the top end. So far at this tournament, he has had some shaky moments making that transition from online to offline play. You know, obviously for a lot of these guys, this is their first time playing at this type of level. He had a particularly rough game against the guard yesterday, but he is really hitting his stride here. He is at the highest frag count he's had so far this tournament right now at 21 kills.
We still have a lot of rounds to play, it feels like, Dust.
Yep. I mean, he had 20 against Union on Pearl in that loss, and I think that was maybe triple overtime or so. He also had 20 deaths, so the KD was not great. He did get 20 kills against Guard yesterday on Haven, but again, that was a loss. So this is his best performance so far individually in Ascension, which is good to see if you're an M80 fan, because we know that this is a team that prides itself on being able to get, you know, good production from every single role. Absolutely. You know, having kind of stars in every single position. And so Qualanoob finding his comfort here, that's big news.
You want to spin it to the other side, though. If you're a 00Nation fan, you feel pretty good about only being down a round to a player that's 21-10. So kind of a double-edged sword at the moment as we jump into round 18. Little split focus coming here for M80 as, once again, that same barrier orb is placed over towards A, but there's going to be a quick dash here right in towards the B side. There is no chance to counter flash this, so 00Nation will spend Seekers and then a late guiding light, but Xander's already in position. They're going to clean up the Seekers. BZN committing forward, and he has split the offense into two pieces, but Xander playing close, shuts it down, and once again, 00Nation turn, tail, and run.
Yeah, they're out of there. They don't want nothing to do with that. And again, that's like the beauty of Xander is he's a guy that while playing a controller role, he can be right there in the pocket and be that trade fragger. You know, when you're in a situation where you're not playing double dive with Nismo on Raze, you need somebody to be able to go out there with Qualanoob and help him find openings. Or when he does get the initial space, someone to be there to help him actually trade frag on the site. And Xander is one of those guys who is more than willing to do that in those tense moments. You know, while EU might be kind of dogging or flashing you in, he's not always necessarily going to be able to be that second guy in the site.
Right.
Whereas a lot of times he would often be. But again, with Nismo on KO, I think a little bit more pressure goes on some of the other guys to be the follow-up, and Xander's been able to do that as Viper a lot this half. I mean, think about how many entries he also has had on the other site throughout this half.
Absolutely.
He has been, while it might be Koala like top fragging the board, I feel like Xander has had so much impact.
It almost feels like he's like a walking double kill at the time being.
Yeah,
as
pretty much.
Late contact will force Sand out of the picture. So only one rifle will make it into the next round, but it was going to be a save regardless. So not too much sweat off the back of 00Nation, all things told.
That was a beautiful flash there for Xander to swing with as well. So while EU might be struggling a little bit when it comes to the fragging department today in comparison to what we've seen throughout Ascension, he's able to do some good supporting utility there. And this puts M80 in a great position. They're up 10-8. They're really finding their stride now. They've won the last 4 in a row, and they have 0-0 on a low buy.
Yep. Showstopper is at the ready, though. Plus Cosmic Divide, and BZN can tally a kill or an orb. He will also have a Viper's Pit, so there are options here for a potential Thrifty.
True. Seemingly always dangerous to 00Nation.
True.
Especially when they have ults on the board. And when they can be as wild as we know they can be. Because sometimes it'd be really hard to read where the fireworks are going to pop off from. July 4th might be done in North America, bro, but we still got plenty of things popping off here in this tournament.
Plenty of freedom. Well, M80 being very cautious about this approach, want to make sure that they don't get surprised by anything, and they are going to be walking into the teeth of this defense. 4 members strong is this hold, and if Zan can find timing on a showstopper, this could be huge. Qualanoob up top, doesn't quite see anything, so backs away with the blades out. Focus goes back over towards tower. BZN will not be flashed, and actually the snake bite is very well placed. A quick rotation back through vents. Cosmic Divide will give an opportunity here, though, for Artson to kind of hold his ground, and BZN is on the chase, just can't quite tally. Now over to Artson. Does have a weapon to play with, but once again, it's Xander for a walking double kill. Qualanoob gets the trade. And with that, it's a 4v2 situation. Spike being planted. Xian trying to find an early challenge, but will not be allowed to, and John Cutie will get M80 to 11.
Yeah, M80 are starting to really hit critical mass at just the right time. Not only are they winning all these rounds, but I feel like they've progressively become more dominant victories. And now, obviously, that was a low buy round from 00Nation, which really kind of explains that a bit more. But remember, the first couple of wins that they had were a bit labor. They were only surviving with 2 players. A lot of rebuying having to take place now.
Yes.
I feel like the last 2 or 3 rounds that they've won, they've survived with, usually 4 at the very least. Like,
feels that way. Yep.
It seems like they're starting to handle some of the chaos that 00Nation is throwing at them a little bit better. They're a little more prepared. Their own executes are very clean and decisive. Again, that is one of M80's trademarks for North America. They were one of the fastest paced teams in NA, but they were also, you know, one of the best as far as their team play and utility usage. I mean, the only other team that really matched them to the same degree was Guard and maybe Moist Moguls. So yeah, I mean, while they've had their issues here and there at Ascension, and they haven't got off to maybe the flying start people thought they would, you know, with their loss to Union and their loss to Guard yesterday, they are still very much present and, you know, really getting the job done where it matters most, elimination on the line. Again, this is lower bracket. This is last hope.
And I think just, you talk about, let's just, again, not to try to be NA bias here, but if M80 end up pulling this map off, by dominating on the offensive side, it adds another threat, I think, to the mix.
Sure. If
they do make their way into the next matchup, depending on who they play up against. So, 24 and 10 for Koala Noob. Xander has more laboriously gotten to 20 and 16. Impressive tallies all over the place, but a must-win round here for 00Nation as the Viper's Pit will encapsulate the majority of mid.
Indeed, as we see M80 trying to once again make their poke at A. They have been very successful on these A plays, and Koala Noob with this operator has been deadly. He finds another Xan. Quick to respond, taking Xander down, who has been a critical piece of this attacking side for M80. That must be said. A weapon down early for both sides right now. Rez comes out.
Oh, and they're finding the kills behind it. Oh my goodness, M80 just got baited into the play. Holy smokes. Initially, it's Koala Noob, a blind shot through a toxic screen and a poison cloud. Artson says, barrier orb me, let me get the res, good support, and everyone just cleans up from there, baiting M80 into the choke point.
And that's a big round for 00Nation. That could be what they need to get back on the horse, so to speak. Again, they had lost the last 5 rounds in a row. It seemed like M80 were sprinting towards the finish line of their map pick of Split, with Lotus around the corner, which is such a brilliant map for M80. Things that were starting to really look scary, but all of a sudden, 00Nation with that play right back into it, just a couple of rounds behind. Barton getting an aggressive angle here.
Oh, showstopper, does it find one? Yes, it does. EU can't quite sneak in towards sewers. Wow, huge opening first blood, plus a lot of dominant A control for 00Nation. Now it's just down to holding the numbers for this 5v4's Koala Noob looks for a shot. How does he hit that? Oh my. Barely an elbow to see.
If he keeps that up, watch out. That's all I can say. That's the Koala Noob that we knew we could see.
Oh no, Dust. And now Xander in the corner.
What do you mean?
Off the reload, no, BZN responds. Koala Noob on the hunt, and BZN shuts him down post-dash.
Oh, man. Trying to play off intuition. Thought he had a timing with that dash. He did not. BZN was prepared, but he's taking a lot of damage, and the spike is still able to make its way over to B. But I know exactly what you're thinking. Oh, but he comes back. Nismo comes back for support. Unreal. What a read. What a read shift.
This round may be dictated by literally milliseconds across every single kill we've seen so far.
Yep.
BZN not out of it yet. 1v2 from the high ground. Hits the first cleanly. Now to the 1v1 with Nismo. Arguably the most clutch player on M80's team, if not in North America. Flashes himself forward. And what? He barely had a pixel to shoot at, and somehow he connects onto the head of BZN, and M80 are on map point.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Nismo was tied for second in all of Challengers North America for clutch percentage. So definitely very well known for being good in these tight situations. He's also within the top 5 for clutch percentage for Ascension. I think he's number 4, converting 33% of the clutches he's been a part of. And that was a wild round.
What a shot.
That was a roller coaster ride, man.
I mean, every single elimination was smallest of pixels or milliseconds, timing wise.
Hey, that's the, you know, they say American football is a game of inches. You know, esports are a game of milliseconds, bro. All I can say.
Here we go. Hard commit right on towards B. Barton just with the sheriff, needs help, and he needs it badly. Try to catch maybe some timing here. He does deny the knife, but Nismo is going to be able to stick this for the plant. Quick pop through. Yeah, how about it? Page Shells find one. John QD for a response, but still stays 4v4. Viper's Pit in play for M80. That is the last ultimate that we'll see, at least in this round. Paint shells re-earned for Zand as he gets his second kill. Popping his way on over. May find the high ground play. How about this from Zand? John Cutie in the corner. He's given up his position pretty convincingly. Now it's just down to Xander for a 1v4, but everyone's being decayed. And the time's becoming a bit of an issue. Xander in and out of the smoke. Gets into a corner, but Artsen's able to find him, and 00Nation stay alive.
And just when you thought that M80 were going to peel away, 00Nation comes in response. They were able to do this a couple of times in the last few rounds. Again, it was that 5-round streak from M80 where it seemed like they were hunting for the dub, but 2 of the last 3 have gone the way of 00Nation, looking to hang around here on this map pick, perhaps even force an overtime if they can keep this up. They've been doing some great work across the board. Timeout for M80, not a bad time to do it. You know, you've been on map point for a round or 2 now. Trying to put this one away before it has to go to OT. Again, this was the pick of 00Nation, so taking this away and getting to go to your home map of Lotus, a map up, is obviously ideal. As Happy and company here on the coaching staff will have their words with the squad.
Wow. What a map.
It's just, I mean, it's firecrackers, man, and they just don't stop exploding. Like, there's barely a chance for us to get a word in because the action is just taking place so rapidly. But I mean, again, it's what we expected from the 2 teams that play a style like these 2 teams do, is you're gonna get those early skirmishes.
And the thing about it for 00Nation, because we set a very similar storyline for their matchup versus Fusion, pardon me, but 00Nation has played so much cleaner today. From an individual level, from a team level, players are hitting shots, first of all, which is great news, but they are right in the mix and really going toe-to-toe here with M80.
This is more the 00Nation that I saw when I was reviewing film from the second split of, Brazil play.
And then what we expected 2 days ago, too.
Exactly. Like, this is the form of the team that I was been hoping to see all Ascension long.
Ooh, how about this? How about this for an off-speed pitch? 4 members stacked through mid with full clearance, but M80, oh man, they're gonna get a wide open B site. Thing is, the spike is gonna be late in here, and it's gonna be a 2-2-1 retake for 00Nation. There will be John Cutie playing inside. He doesn't even find a first. Hold on a second. Spike does get planted, Seekers though earned. 00Nation coming quickly. And there's nowhere for M80 to go besides to hold their ground until Xander creates an opening back through dirt. Xion trying to flash their way back on. Xander not done, takes down BZN. Xander not done, and that will do it as Xander creates an opening, or an exit if you will, finds 3 kills, and M80 will take map 1 13-10.
I mean, how many times did we say it throughout that game that Xander was having incredible impact? QualiNoob may have been the top fragger, and certainly QualiNoob had his own impact. Don't get me wrong, the man was a maniac with the operator on both sides of the map this game to put up his best performance individually so far in all of Ascension, and he's doing it at just the right time facing elimination. But Xander was meant. So many multi-frag rounds that he was able to get to be the follow-up fragger on the attack behind QualiNoob, and then defensively, I mean, the way that he was able to alleviate the pressure of being pushed through B main when John Cutie goes down by pushing back halls, getting a frag, and getting another foothold that they can then use to deal with the fact that they're getting a retake from flank, as well as B heaven. I mean, that was exquisite. It's just brilliant intuition and brilliant fragging and saving the day for his team on so many occasions. Plus, Nismo had like a crazy clutch. Got to throw that in there.
Yeah.
You got a little bit of everything out of that one. I mean, that was a slobber knocker of a game.
Yeah, it's not going to come across as the sexiest stat line in the world for Xander, but it did feel like every single time he was in the mix, it was 1v2 or 1v3 situations in the midst of a team fight, right? Like, he was the sole player trying to push through in a couple of different moments, obviously most evident in that last round, but it also happened in him, defending over towards the A site on the defensive side. We also saw that round on offense where he was kind of stuck inside A cubby and still turned it into 3 kills. It just felt like he was on an island so often and made it work. And the thing about all of this, we got to go back to the first half. 00Nation did more than what was required. They got 6 rounds on offense that nobody in North American Challengers were able to do versus M80 team. And you start to think, hold up, let them cook a little bit, because they're playing some super solid Valorant.
Yeah, again, this is some of the best Valorant from the eye test that we've seen from 00Nation all tournament long. It just so happened that M80 were able to pull out the stops they needed to stop, you know, them losing control of the game, I guess you could say. Like they were able to, you know, keep the first half tight despite going behind, and then on the attacking side, that 5-round streak that they got, it put them in control of the game. Now, while 00Nation certainly put up some valiant efforts to slow them down from getting to the finish line, M80 never wavered enough. Like, they never fell apart. They were able to keep their composure. They took a nice time out there, and they were able to come out, catch a good timing on a B hit. Yeah, the dangerous flank that catches John Cutie could have posed a problem, but they really just recalibrated very rapidly to handle that situation and ultimately come out on top.
And there were still a number of key rounds, like a couple before this, where we were looking and saying it's all milliseconds. It's all small things that aren't seen or aren't connected upon. So the biggest news point of all of this is it's a grueler first and foremost, but M80 do take away 00Nation's map selection. And with that, of course, they have the benefit of going to one of their best overall maps in Lotus for map number 2. But before we do that, we've got the desk standing by for their thoughts. Sierra and friends, take it away.
Thanks so much, you two. Hey, Tanner, I don't know how things are going to be shaking up today, whether we're going to be getting those 3-map series, but at least the maps that we have, wow, this delivered to start things off. What a close game, especially for that first half. It's just M80 pulling away right at the end.
Yeah. A very explosive game, back and forth, and we got, I think, a lot of, if not all of, what we set up. I don't think we accounted for the way that Xander was going to play today, but we talked about BZN and what he was going to do, and BZN had some pretty incredible rounds. He obviously is here atop just in stats alone. We asked for Koala Noob to show back up today, and Koala Noob did just that. Nismo a little bit more quiet, but he was just doing his part. Yeah, this was a very exciting 23-map game. Or 23-round game, excuse me.
100%. And I was a little worried after the first couple rounds with Koala Noob. And then all of a sudden, he's like, no, I got this. So no reason for Nismo needing to step up. We thought we might see that Nismo raise so that Koala could have a break. Koala doesn't need a break. Koala Noob's absolutely just fine how he is over there. Sorry. Really, really exciting stuff coming out. And I have to say from both teams, because 00Nation, I was kind of a little uncertain coming into this, but wow, just the way that they were able to shut M80 down, a lot of the game just seemed really reactionary coming out from them.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's one round in particular that I like really wanted to highlight it from 00Nation, where I felt like everything was just going good for them, and it's this round right here in round 10. M80 came into this round having a really solid game plan with that Viper all coming in and to kind of like push 00Nation kind of like to the other side of the map. But then we see BZN here getting like that pick that like opens up the round for them, and they're able to kind of flood the A site back in. And like that round is just like such a good mid-round adaptation from 00Nation. They definitely like kind of knew what they were like doing, and BZN being that guy that we talked about earlier, being able to like open up that round for them, and then in the end cleaning up the post plan and getting a 4K in the end of that round is just like insane from them. So kudos to them. They seem like they really knew what they were doing. I think when the round switched over and M80 got on their attack side, we saw like that classic M80, where they just have those explosive takes, and then their post plants are just like so in sync. Like they just have those crossfires and the util layering. It's just perfect.
Yeah, to that point for M80 as well, Xander was a player that we didn't really highlight. Obviously, the 5-star players on the same M80 team. Now that the stats and the game is over and everything's cut up, 9 multi-kills for Xander in this one. And they're coming, you know, the game at one point 8-8, 9-8, and Xander's playing Duelist Viper and just running into sites and finding 2 kills. And it's back-to-back rounds. So the impact that, I mean, this is just, at least for this map, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. For M80, this did look like M80 of old.
Especially that second half, because that first half was a little bit, it didn't really seem like M80 for a bit. It kind of just seemed, despite the tight scoreline, that 00Nation just kind of was really allowed to be setting the pace. But M80, they kind of got things together. They kind of lit that spark. And I feel like that bodes really well for them, as next up we have Lotus on the horizon. This has been something they've been so strong on lately. So we'll have to see if 00Nation has enough to take it into this map 3, or if it's going to be elimination for them. We're going to take a short break and have that up right up next.